Hello, welcome to Scrap Time. My name is Christine, and over the last few weeks, I have learned calligraphy. And in this video, I'm going to share with you all the knowledge that I have gathered. A few weeks ago, I decided I wanted to learn calligraphy. Now, I don't want to be the next best calligraphy artist. I just wanted to improve my own handwriting and to be able to understand and develop a style of writing. So this is the stage I am at now, and I'm going to talk a bit about how I got here. So the first thing you need to do is pick a pen and some nibs. So what I did, what most people probably do, is I went to my art supply store and they had this speedball set, and I bought this set thinking that would be great. Well, it ends up I brought it home and I didn't really like it. It wasn't working for me. Now, first off, these nibs here are for a different style of calligraphy. So right off the bat, I don't need any of those. So then I need what is called a pointed nib. This is a pointed nib. And I had these two nibs, and between not really understanding what to do and the nibs, I wasn't getting a result I'd like. So I don't recommend buying this speedball set. So then I was lucky enough to be able to go to a store that sells pens, and I learned a few things. So I'm going to take this nib out. So you should be able to see the difference here. The speedball is just a round area, whereas this one has these little tongs. This speedball pen won't fit most of the nibs that you will buy. So that's the other reason why you do not want this holder. So now we have a proper holder and a proper nib. I ended up getting this set from Browse that came with 3 pointed tips. So what you want to do to put it in, you'll notice that there's a little opening there on the pen, and that is where I am going to put my nib. I'm going to line it up and put it right in, and it holds my nib. So now there's different pointed. You want to start with one that's not overly flexible. A lot of people recommend the Nico G nib to start. My store, however, did not sell that, so I went with these Browse nibs. Now, as you go, I wanted to have some thicker, bigger nibs. So I ended up getting the rose nib and what they refer to as the blue elephant. And so that way I can do my larger words when I work on cards and larger formats. And these are just some of the holders that my store sold, and so that's why I bought them. But as long as it has that type of end, you can get any holder. Then another option is oblique pens. Now this is not a true oblique pen. This is a set I got from my store, and it's a regular holder, but the nib is oblique. Now, on most oblique pens, the pen will come out and then you can put any of your nibs into the pen. However, my store did not sell an oblique holder, so I bought this just to try it out. And then it came with a couple other pointed nibs that are the exact same. So now that we have some nibs, we need some ink. I, again, initially bought the Speedball Super Black India ink, and I will use this later on. However, I was recommended to get the Higgins, that's what the store I went to sold, and if you're shopping online, I know Sumi ink is also really highly recommended. Now when it comes to paper, you want some nice smooth paper, and the Rhodia papers are recommended. This is a dot pad, meaning that there's a bunch of little dots. You can get grids, you can get lines, and then I also have it just with blank paper. It comes in a variety of sizes. I have this one, and then I have the big pads as well, in both dot and blank. But where do you actually start? We have our tools, how do we learn? Well, I went online and I came across the Postman's Knock, and she sells calligraphy worksheet sets, and they're only $5 and you print them off at home. And so I started with the Beth style calligraphy because I thought that was sort of most traditional. And as you go through, you start by tracing her letters, then just practicing letter formation. So I practiced that, and then it goes into faux calligraphy, where you're putting lines down to make it thick. You're just using a regular pen at this point before getting into the dip pen calligraphy. So this was my practice sheets, and then more practice. And the other one I downloaded was the Caitlin style calligraphy. So this is more of a modern calligraphy font, and again you have your practice with the pen for faux calligraphy, words, stroke practice. I actually ended up doing the rest of the letters in my book, and then words. And then it also starts to teach you how to do the up and down. So that brings me to my books. So you can see all my practice. Now at the beginning here, you can see I'm not getting a lot of definition between the thick and the thin. But I'm learning the letters because you need to write them over and over again. So all those letters you understand. You don't have to refer back to the sheet. You just know how to write them. So I just want to show you how much practice I would do. I've been working on this 2 to 3 hours a day. So here I'm practicing the up and down a bit. And all the words. And that's the sort of bouncing. So you can see I have spent a lot of time working on this. And now I start to get thicker. I learned the trick to getting thicker letters. So I'm going to show you a bit of writing, if I can get to. Oh yes, that's what I'm working on now. So I'm going to put that aside and I'm going to show you on a blank paper. Here I've been making bigger words in here. So I have my ink and I'm going to go with this nib. So when you're learning calligraphy, the first thing you want to do when you get your nibs actually is there's different ways to, they come with a residue on it and you want to get that residue off. And so what I was told to do was to dip it in boiling water for about 10 minutes and then wipe it off. Some people wash it with dishwasher and warm water, other people use toothpaste. There's a bunch of different methods, but you want to do something to treat your nib to get that residue off so your ink runs freely. So I'm just going to do a regular stroke. That's what you call a downstroke. I'm not putting too much pressure on yet because you want to be able to control the pen. An upstroke would be very fine. You can see the differences between them. And then sideways is also fine. So that is why you want a nice strong nib to start, because otherwise you might have problems when you go to do your downstroke. So if I write an A, you see how that comes apart. That's what you don't want to happen. So this nib right now, I press too hard. I can't get that really thickness that I was going for. So it's better for smaller writing like I'm doing here. So whenever your pen goes down, that is when you want to put that extra pressure. If you're writing sideways, you want it thin. Now I'm just going to switch pages. I'm going to move my book down. So you can do different tests, like some circles. You go up, down, up. The other trick is you want to go slow. You don't want to write as fast as you might with a regular pen. Now when it does that, you need more ink, and you just continue on. So you're learning how much pressure you can put on that nib. When it splits apart, you just need more ink. Depending on how big your pen is will depend how much ink it will have. The other thing too you need to do is every so often you have a cup of water and you just dip your pen in and rinse it off, because what will happen is some of that ink will start to dry on your pen, and you don't want that. So to keep it moving smoothly, you want to have water handy to continue, and then you can just continue on. So if I was to write my name, oops, I pressed too hard. So that is why you have to always practice. I'm still learning, but I wanted to still share with you what I have come across so far in case you want to start to learn. So you can see I have a lot of thick and thin variations in my words. So as I mentioned before, I want to go bigger. So before I go big, actually I'm going to just show you the oblique pen. Even though this isn't a true oblique pen, but just how it writes. It's actually easier to use. So this one, because it's firm, I can put a lot of pressure down and it's not going to split on me. And so you want to write slowly so you can get that pressure. I found when I was starting, I was writing too fast and I wasn't getting that thickness I wanted. So it shows you the difference in the nibs of how firm this nib is. Okay, so let's get into the bigger ones. This one, it's referred to as the blue elephant. And I'm just going to make sure. So if I write my name again, you can see how thick that line is. Oops. Why is it doing that? So it's a lot more bold than the previous nibs. And I'll just quickly show you the rose nib. So even though it's wet, because I'm not using it for anything, I just turn it over and continue on. So this nib is a little more firm than the blue one. And so I can still get those thick and thin, but I don't get as much of it opening that you saw with the other one. And then it comes back to doing that practice of knowing the letters. I'm not thinking about, oh, what shape is the letter I need to make. I sort of already know how I want to make my letter. So I can get a nice bold, crisp one with the rose. The rose nib is one of my favorite nibs right now at the moment. So I just want to do one more thing then, talk about working on Overtop of Medium. I'm going to close up that, rinse off my pen. Now if you have like a dinner napkin or something, is best for a little cloth. I use this thick paper towel, but a thin paper towel would rip too much. So this was Distress Crayon. So it has a bit of waxiness to it. And those were some other ones on Distress Crayons. And then this was over acrylic paint. So this paint is just a dye ink. And so it doesn't work well over top of mediums like this, I found. So that's when I brought back my India ink, because India ink works perfect over a bunch of different mediums. So I have this card here. I'm going to put my paper down so I have just the base to work on. Now, of course, you could always pencil in what you want to write first. I'm just going to go for it. So you can see the India ink shows up great over this. Getting my thick and thin lines, I can come back over. And there we have it. I'll just have to let that sit and dry. So I found that if you're going to be working over top of a medium, you want an India ink or something like that. So I still have a lot to learn. I'm going to play with different inks and watercolors and different fun things like that. But I just want to share with you a few things that I've learned over the past few weeks of starting this hobby and how to improve myself with the hobby. So I hope that gives you some ideas, and good luck in your calligraphy endeavors. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like our video, give us a thumbs up, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Scrap Time Videos. See you next time. Bye-bye.